I'm going to start right off the bat with the specs of this car. It's turbocharged, it's intercooled, active all-wheel drive, 6-speed manual transmission, big bulge on the hood, 18-inch wheels, 274 horsepower, 280 pound-feet of torque. What could that be? Well, here we have, maybe the color has given it away, but a 2006 Mazdaspeed6. What is a Mazdaspeed? Mazdaspeed is like the equivalent of AMG for Mercedes or the M-Class for BMW. It's the ultimate Mazda. And let me tell you, this is the ultimate Mazda 6. On the road, the car is extremely stable. What it also has to help with the suspension is increased size stabilizer bars, stiffer suspension. It's maybe a little bit too stiff though on the road, I have to say. The Mazda 6 sport wagon that I drove a little bit earlier was maybe a little bit softer sprung, but actually the compromise between comfort and handling, I think it was even better than on this car. The 18-inch wheels are amazing. The larger disc brakes also on this car really to bring the car down to a stop. There's a lot of good things going for this car. First of all, the base price is $35,995. It's not given away really, but when you consider everything you get, it's quite impressive. Acceleration with this car, once you get past the lag, it's not too bad. The 2.3-liter inline 4-cylinder is very raspy. There's a certain noise about it that is very attractive that I really like. It somewhat reminds me of my old MX-6 GT Turbo that I had many years ago. This car is much quicker though, obviously. According to Mazda, they figure that it'll do a 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in about 6.6 seconds. But let me tell you, it really feels much faster. My complaint with the car has mostly to do with the steering of the car. There's something about it, it's very heavy when you're driving in the city, but once you get on the highway, it feels like there's too much assistance. The on-center feel is not that great either. If my memory serves me well, the Mazda 6 sport wagon that I drove, again, a little bit earlier, was much nicer, and actually the feedback was better. Brakes are amazing. The pedal is a little bit softer than what I remember, but still, grip is phenomenal, and the car will definitely come to a stop in a very short distance from a very high speed. So, moving along, on the highway, like I said, it's very stable, firmly planted. The car feels very good. I think maybe my principal complaints about the car have more to do with the fact that this tester may have been slightly abused because it's encroaching on 11,000 kilometers. Not that I've participated in any of that abuse whatsoever. My tester is actually equipped with the very few options available on this car, which are leather and the sunroof. It retails for $38,795. I must say though that the leather is slippery. I would prefer the base model, so you'll have a little bit more grip, but otherwise the support of the seats is pretty good. Now that we're inside the Mazdaspeed6, well, looking around, you can tell right away it's standard Mazda 6 fare, so what that means is nice materials, good fit and finish, everything is where it's supposed to be located. There's still the question about the audio controls, which are finished in a piano black, which looks fantastic at night, or in the day I should say, but at night they light up. Might be a little bit more difficult to get used to, but it's just a question of time. Rotary knobs for the HVAC, very simple. What I do like, especially on the car, is the steering wheel. Is a good grip, good size. I really enjoy that. My favorite thing about the inside, actually, there's a few. First one is the pedals. The Mazdaspeed has specific pedals which are a little bit larger, so the heel toe is really something amazingly easy to do. You really can't screw that up, even if you tried. Gauges are large, all the way up to 280 kilometers, but the car is limited to 240 kilometers an hour. Another thing that I do like is the nice finish inside the car, which is specific again to the Mazda 6. This carbon fiber colored titanium mixture is very classy, very nice. Something I do like also, actually it's a mixed thing. The shifter is very precise. There's a little bit of notchiness in it, but I really enjoy that. However, I find the throws to be a little bit long, especially when you're doing the 1, 3, and 5. Something you'll get used to, but I would have maybe preferred something that looks more, that feels more like the one in the all-new MX-5 or the Miata for that matter. I mentioned the front seats. The back seats are fairly comfortable as well. There's a sufficient amount of room for 2 adults. When you get a third one in there, it does squeeze up a little bit. Trunk is a good size. The opening isn't that big either. Very much like the Mazda 3. However, it's still a little bit more easier to deal with. Otherwise, the interior of the Mazda 6 has always been nice, and well, obviously in the Mazdaspeed, it's perfect. There are so many things to be said about the Mazdaspeed6. I don't know how I'm going to end this segment, but I can tell you this car is absolutely a blast to drive. The Velocity red color is incredible. I'm in love with the bulge on the hood. This car, though, is up against some very stiff competition, but it uses a lot of interesting things. First of all, though, I have to say that there's a little bit of a problem when I'm doing these stupid little things that put a grin on my face. The steering has really a hard time keeping up with me. It gets over-assisted, it panics, it jams up. So really, if you're doing these things, make sure you have a lot of room, because if the steering does jam up on you, you might not be able to catch it. The WRX is its principal competitor. It retails for $500 less than this car. So if you consider the design of this car, how recent it is, its platform, the interior, everything you get, WRX really has a hard time, in my mind, keeping up with it. The only advantage to that car is really its size. Then there's a Legacy 2.5 GT, which is only about $1,500 to $2,000 more than the WRX, which has a nicer interior than WRX, but it's close to this one. As far as pure acceleration is concerned, with 250 horsepower and 250 pound-feet of torque, the Legacy is very, very close. I really can't tell you which one I would pick, but I think if only because of the steering, I would have to go with the Subaru.